Oh, so I started feeling emotions of love.
Mm-hmm.
I think at a very young age. I'm talking about like wanting a partner. I was only like 4 or 5. But was that love, you think?
I think when you're 4 or 5, it is.
Yeah, it can
is.
be
Yeah,
genuine.
but it could be the feeling of a strong emotion of wanting to care for someone, right? It's different though when you grow up. 2 years later, it feels different.
Yeah.
5 years later, it feels different. But at the moment, at 4 or 5, it's that. I think what maybe another question could be is, how do people around you facilitate that emotion, right? And
That's
what do you do with
interesting.
that?
Yeah.
Was it the same for you, Des?
I think so. I think definitely, like, I remember being young and having crushes, and they were very intense when I was young. And we were talking off camera about that as children. Feeling those emotions for the first time are so intense. And so, yeah, I definitely can relate to having crushes as a young kid, but of course it develops when you get older, and I think it's always love at the start. Like love, it's just in different stages.
Oh, the crushes that come with the heartbreaks.
Oh, Lord.
Well, we do want to thank, of course, Jolyn and Ed from the Guam Department of Education, their counselors,
Yes.
joining us here on KWAM Podcast Network Off the Record. We really appreciate your expertise and really just vibing out with us here in the launch of our KWAM Podcast studio.
Thank you.
I'm so
Thanks for having us.
excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
And so, of course, whenever people talk about love, the first thing I feel like these days people ask is, what's your love language? And so I kind of want to go down the line and just kind of see, what do you think yours is?
I think my love language is quality time.
Mhm.
So when I'm with somebody I love, not just like my husband, but my loved ones, I love when they put down their phone, when there's no distraction and we could just talk without interruption. I really appreciate that. And we don't even have to talk, just being around each other without outside distraction is my definition of my love language, I think.
All right, love language here by definition, quality time means spending time together and giving each other undivided
Mhm.
attention. And so I think I crave that as well. So
Yeah.
when I did the test, mine was quality time.
Love that.
For you?
How about you guys?
For me, I think it's act of service. Like
Okay.
I think I like that. Like when you show someone like that you care for them by thinking, I remember them telling me this, and then I do that. So just to show them that that's my efforts to showing that I really deeply care for them by doing stuff for them. Yeah, being
Yeah,
there.
same.
Act
Saying
of
I
service.
love you, but then backing it up with action, not
Yeah.
just saying it on the way out or after seeing them for an extended period. Oh, I miss you, I love you, but it's more saying I love you and then showing this is how I love you, even when I'm not with you. These are the things that I do for you, for us,
Mhm.
because there is no relation. Love is a relationship, and it's. I guess it's an app. It updates as you learn and
I love that.
experience through
Love is
life.
like an app.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a great way to look at it.
That is a season of love. So,
Yeah.
and so what's that? Acts of service means doing something that helps a partner, such as running an errand. And I think you also, Ed, just touched on words of affirmation, compliments, praise, appreciation. So that's cool. We all have a little bit of our own
Yeah,
happening.
definitely.
No one likes gifts? What is that?
Receiving gifts?
Yeah.
Well, I think service too can be kind of part of that, right?
Yeah.
Like doing that, like making them a special breakfast or
Yeah.
a special dinner, right? That
Yeah.
could be a gift, a form of a gift. But I guess some people do like that physical reception of the gift too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, so.
Are you ever able to decipher, I mean, before marriage,
Mhm.
congratulations,
Thank
by the
you.
way. Before marriage, have you ever been able to decipher, like, love or lust? And what's the difference?
To be honest, my partner and I have been together since we were in high school. So I can't remember a time before then. I think everything was kind of just like figuring it out. So I don't really know. I couldn't really determine the difference. Maybe I think I was able, sorry to segue, but I think I was able to determine like deep love with my sisters. Like I think when we like also just bring it back to like how we develop our love languages, like I think that stems from your family and how you received love at a developmental age. So I think I had a strong understanding of what love meant to me from my family, like how what I crave as an adult, I craved as a child, you know. So like I want quality time because my parents were always working. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings, so everybody kind of went out of the house before I did. So I always craved that wanting to be together. If that answers your question. So I think that's how I like determine the difference between or how I want to receive love, if that makes sense.
And you're able to communicate that now with your partner.
For sure, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like a lot of unconditional love evolved into. But
Yeah.
is there a difference though between love and lust, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. I feel there is a difference. Love is definitely something more long-term, unconditional, right? If you define love in that way. Lust can be temporary and conditional on many times one aspect, whether it's mostly physical, right? Whether there's just that physical attraction, but I think love is more than that. And learning the difference is the hard part, right? And especially love is something like I feel is reciprocal, right? Like you give, and if you get back, that develops love. Or lust is mostly one-sided, you know, so doesn't necessarily mean you get in return something back, that deep feeling also.
Do you think that lust is always dangerous or a bad thing? Because I feel like sometimes it gets a bad rap.
I think if you cannot avoid lust, it's there. But it's the love that steps between your lust. Because you love your wife, but you lust after this other person. Then that love for your wife comes in and says, sorry, the love here is stronger than the physical need to touch. So,
Sometimes that's easier said than done though, would you say?
Absolutely. Call your wife. So when you start to feel that lust, phone call, WhatsApp, video chat, hi honey, I was just wondering what you
Let her be that reminder.
Yes, we love that. We
Happy
love
wife,
that.
happy life.
That's very interesting. You know, my grandparents have this saying, and they reiterated it again since I got married this year or last year. They always said that love isn't a feeling, it's a commitment. And I never understood that as a kid. I was always just like, no, you have to love, you have to feel that you love somebody. And I always fought against that saying until I realized that yes, you can feel love for the person that you're with, but that feelings are so fleeting. Commitment is unconditional.
Emotional and
Yes,
choice.
yes.
Yeah, I like to say that love is a choice, also especially for a long time, because you're absolutely right. You hit it. You know, the feeling and the emotion is there, but in love, there's all these other emotions that kind of build up, and it's not just an emotion. When in a long-term, in a relationship, it, you know, I know Ed was like referring to that. It's a decision.
It is.
I choose to love. I choose to love you, despite
Every single day.
every day.
Oh,
It's a choice.
that's the challenge,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Call your wife.
Yeah.
Oh man. And for
I
me,
love that.
since you mentioned your marriage, Des, I got married at an early age. Let me ask the question: how many times is too many times to be married? First of all, anyone take a guess?
I don't know.
So I've been divorced twice. Full disclosure.
Period.
And so the first time I was only 18,
That's young.
and yeah, I it was to my middle school sweetheart, but it just ended for its reasons, and I just felt like I'm not going to ever remarry, and I felt really cheated on for myself, that I was giving heart and so much of myself, and it didn't feel reciprocated. But that's how I felt, even though there clearly was reciprocation. I just felt like for the next few years, no marriage, no more giving of myself. I mean, that's changed. Clearly, I've been married a second time, but how do you guys think that might have? I could have played that out differently, or could I have?
What is marriage and
Yeah.
the giving your name to someone who wasn't born of you?
Right.
Is it putting in the same filing tax together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was with my wife like almost 10 years before we got married, and I didn't even ask her. She asked me.
Wow.
I love her.
So, but there were many times along that road where I was like, well, technically I didn't marry her, so I could easily just not come home one day. But then that's the love. Well, if you love her, then you're gonna come back. You don't need a piece of paper with my name on her name to say that I love you.
Yeah.
So when you ask that question, I wonder, how many times have I been married? Usually, technically, I just got married like 2 years ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Congrats.
What is that? My parents married early on and then were together, but I saw the struggles in their own relationship. And I have aunties and uncles who married 20 years, and yet I see domestic violence and isolation, and so it comes back again to that marriage. It's the commitment. I promise to stay with you, love you, and never hurt you forever and ever. Amen. Simple.
Simple.
If you cannot do that, then you shouldn't really.
Oh.
I think it's so personal, like relationships, that's your and your partner's life. And so who are we to say, oh, you should only get married this many times? You do whatever is right for you and what is healthy and safe for both people in a marriage or in a relationship, whatever that be. People have to define what that means for both of them together. And I don't think outside opinion really matters in that respect, you know.
I agree. I mean, I think, 18 is, if you're asking, 18 is young.
18 is young.
If you're reflecting back, right?
Yeah.
And no judgment. There really is no judgment in that.
Yeah.
But, for you to choose later to divorce, that is a very mature, self-awareness decision. And there's no judgment in that. If it means that that you need to grow, then that's what you need to do to grow, to be happy, right? To make the people around you happy, or to be present with the people in your full self. So, like how many times it's different, and reflection and no regrets, I think, is a part of that too. Like, you look back, would you change your decision?
I look back. Whether I change my decision, I think I've come to a point where I own those decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah. I acknowledge them, and I teach like my children. I teach others around me. All right, it hurts, but only for now.
Yes.
You can use all those experiences to build yourself up and grow, and become stronger. And I'm still a work in progress, and I always will be.
Right. Right. And then you found that definition of love for you. What love means to you. And I think loving yourself is probably the most important relationship first you need to establish before you start choosing someone else. And I think maybe that's that process that we all go through when we're at that age, right? And
definitely.
so, defining that love as you grow. If it means you have to separate because it's not helping you love, then that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Self-love. Prioritize self-love.
So you can love others.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah, and
Right?
I think in that decision to separate, and what you said about being aware, I think that's also showing your partner and your friend, first and foremost, that you love them enough to be like, this isn't working, it's not good for me, it's not good for you, so let's just say peace, let's go, and let's move on.
It can be tough though to decide that.
I'm sure, yes.
Yes.
But it is rooted in love in a lot of ways. In many ways, it is rooted in love. That's just my opinion. Who am I?
I think what you have, even when you get married a second, third time, is the camaraderie between the different parties that become a blended family. At the school level, we see kids who are struggling with two sides of a new family, but still wanting to be a part of this family that's no longer there because it's split into these families. But those families are taking the time to educate their kids, saying, I'm not with your mom, but that's not your fault. The love we have for you doesn't change. It's just spread out a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks different.
Yeah. And
That's
things
beautiful.
like that,
That is
At the school level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, how the students define love is what they see at home, what they learn from their
Right.
parents.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you ask them what is love. Oh, my mom that holds my dad's hand. Oh no.
I wish it could be that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but it could be like
Yeah.
when they're so young, right? And you see them in elementary school, like your 5-year-old self.
Mhm.
It is that simple,
Yeah.
and they remember that, right? They remember that, and I think as adults we need to remember that people, especially younger people, watch the public figures like yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's an extra responsibility on you. I wouldn't wish it. I wouldn't want that
Yeah.
same responsibility,
Yeah.
something so public. But
Yeah.
to be mindful that adults, even as us in the schools, we have to be mindful. Even if I work with my husband at school,
Yeah.
right? I still have to model healthy relationships that's appropriate for them.
Yes.
Right? Because they're not adults. Even if my husband and I are married, like I can't do what married people are, appropriately can do
Yeah.
with the kids because it's not appropriate for their age level.
Right.
So
Right.
it comes out. I don't know how we got to this point, but yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's, stemming from people find love different ways and different ages.
Yeah.
That self-reflection and being present.
I would tell my younger self, with regard to love, go for it.
Yeah.
Don't hold back. Don't worry about what anyone else has to say about it, because this is going to be your journey. And you will think back on your decisions, but know that it's your decisions. And listen to what mom says, because mom is always right.
Yeah, mom is always right. Love you, mom.
Yeah.
That's so true. Learn about love from my mom too.
Yeah.
I love you, my mom and my mom and dad, their
Yeah.
relationship. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
What would you say to your younger self about love?
What would I say? Yeah, listen to Papa and Grandma. Their saying is so true. Love is a commitment, and it's unconditional. And I think, sorry, I tend to just segue into another topic, but I think love is having enough capacity to forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive. And that's just my definition of love. I think that as you get older, like you said, it's simple when you're young. We already feel that innate ability to love and give love and be loved, but we complicate it. We don't complicate it. It just gets complicated as we get older. But I feel like if you just try and widen your heart and try to be as childlike as possible and remember I have this capacity to love and to be loved and to give love, then it just makes it simpler. I think I totally just went off the rails. I don't even know what I said, but sorry. I'm just to my younger self, just be forgiving of yourself and just keep loving.
Yeah.
It's
And
very
learning,
simple.
right?
Yeah.
Forgiving means you're learning. Back to the beginning, you were saying listen to your mama and papa.
Yeah.
That's I agree, right? It's because now that, especially now that I'm older, I have adult children. So, but I remember my younger self, listening and always wanting to fight. Oh, they don't know, but they do know.
They do.
And they unconditionally love you, and they unconditionally want what's best for you,
Mhm.
right? And you
Yeah.
don't know that when you're young. You don't.
Don't.
You don't get that. But it really is in the schools. That's why I love middle school, because
Those
Yeah.
are really when children are going through a transition
Yeah.
right,
and deciding, who am I?
right,
And
and it's
puberty.
yes,
Yeah.
and
You
they're
just go through.
and their
lot.
spoke of their comfort zone is wider. They don't crave just their parents' attention, but they're open to more adult attention,
Yeah.
and we're that adult. And so to be open, we're saying the same things their parents are saying, they're like, oh, I guess it makes sense,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's why I love middle school. But yeah, listen to people around you, even if it's the hard things that they tell you. They love you. If they tell you the stuff you don't want to hear for your own good, right?
Definitely.
So yeah.
Definitely.
True.
100.
Well, it's 2025, and a lot of people. Well, how did you meet your wife? Did you meet her out at a bar through mutual friends?
when I was working at this one place, she was my immediate supervisor.
Okay.
But I didn't relationship till I quit.
Yeah.
Because there was a policy. There was a policy that say no fraternizing. No
Yeah.
problem. So I just didn't fraternize. I quit. So that's what's love.
Oh, wow.
You
Bold.
love her. I love
Bold
her.
move.
Go for it.
That's a
right?
green
Go
flag.
for it.
Green flag.
Go Ed.
You met your husband in high school,
Yes,
so
high school sweetheart.
Wow.
what about for you?
I met Neil at UOG. We
Oh.
were in the same class. It was crazy. I wanted to be there. He didn't want to be there,
Yeah.
and it just worked out. So
I love
yeah,
that.
I love
College sweetheart.
Yes, college sweethearts.
I love
from then.
that. I love that. So sweet.
Same class.
My ex-husband, I met him on a dating app.
Oh.
And I feel like that's where I was going with the 2025
Oh, yeah.
reference. But a lot of people have since changed in meeting in person. Have you guys observed whether that kind of changes the dynamic of love, or does it expand it?
Mm.
It gives a venue for you to explore a little bit more under the surface before you say we meet and see if it's real. Because
Yeah.
online you can be what you want to be.
Shopping
I'm
around.
6 feet shorter, but
You
short
should be
taller.
truthful. You should be truthful.
Shock.
Yeah, but you come and meet in person, you're like, I'm taller than you. So, but social media definitely gives you kind of like a more multifaceted platform for you to meet and greet. So it's not so painful, cringe-worthy when you fail in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the one hand, but again, it goes back to family. If your parents didn't teach you how to use social media properly, be careful with that when you're taking it into the love area.
Yeah,
Right,
and
yeah,
catfish, right? That's like a huge
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. And you see it in schools, like in middle schools. Like,
Uh-huh.
so we're wondering
Oh man.
one time, who's your boyfriend? And oh, he goes to this other school.
Mhm.
And we're like,
How
oh,
did you
how did
meet?
you meet? Oh, we texted each other. And like, that's
That's
like the middle
crazy.
school version.
Yeah,
of it.
Not crazy, just very interesting.
It's different,
very different.
right?
Yeah.
Different. This is like 2025,
Yeah.
or since 2020, right?
Yeah.
When we didn't have access to school. So I think that social media really opened up that avenue for
Yeah.
the younger people. And I agree with Ed when he says, like, it's not a bad thing. You have to be responsible with it. And so, but you do, sometimes people find that bravery to be the person they want to be, or maybe they should be, through media. But it just needs to be responsible. That's that extra
Yes.
added part of it.
That's good. And hold yourself accountable too when you're out there. You don't want to catfish and then
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
I'm
Or
telling
be
you.
catfish.
Or be catfish.
Don't be a catfish and don't get catfish.
Don't get catfished.
There
Exactly.
you go.
I guess just to bring things all together, I want to say happy season of love to everyone.
Yeah.
However you celebrate Valentine's Day, Singles Awareness Day, whatever you call it, just have love and share love with anyone. If it's a family member, if it's a stranger on the street, show compassion. And I think that goes a long way with making yourself feel that self-love that you owe, each and every day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about one more item, if we can. Your soulmate.
Ooh.
Is that a thing? Is it like
I think so.
your soulmate, and does it have to be your partner? Does
No.
it have to be the person you're married to? Or can it just be a friend or someone else that you kind of interact with that you really had that synergy with? Because for me, I feel like I have a lot of close friendships and relationships. I don't know if I would call it a soulmate. And I feel like I don't have anyone to fall into that category. Would you say your husband is?
I think that I have many soulmates, like truly, and I don't mean like, oh, I love everybody. My sisters and my husband, my grandparents, like our souls, I believe, were connected in another life. Like in another lifetime, I found them and they found me, because I don't know, we just have such strong soul ties, and I've found my discovery of what love means from my family, and I was able to share that with my partner. I don't think that your soulmate has to be limited to just a romantic partner. You can find a soulmate honestly in your I know this sounds crazy, but in a pet. Like love is so expansive if you want it to be, and you just have to define what that means for you.
Yeah.
Like truly. How about you guys?
Yeah, I guess when you think of the word, and I can't help but say, gosh, as I grow older, right? Like I'm always learning, and I remember, would I define it the same as if I was 20
Right.
years
Yeah.
old? It's different. But I defined a soulmate as someone where you find safety with, true safety, not just physical, but like emotional safety, where you can be who you are, and it doesn't need to be like automatic. It could be something that they learn, and so. Yeah, I think my husband could be my soulmate because I've really seen that through the years we've grown, and to build that safety no matter what. And I found a soulmate in my best friends. My mom. I feel like sometimes we don't need to talk, but I get it. And she gets me, and I feel that safety with her and my sister. So, like I feel, like I said, I think when younger people hear soulmate, they think that romantic person, and but as we get older and explore different relationships and just reflect, I think you're right. It could be defined in different people.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
I never really thought about the term, but when it comes out, I just remember if I'm the soulmate, then my partner will find me. So now I'm with my wife, so I'll be your soulmate, and you will see it, and you will bring your soul to me.
I like that.
I love that. All right, well, guys.
That's a
Well,
different perspective.
I thought you were gonna say,
Yeah.
well, I just called my wife.
She's the soulmate. She heard.
All right, guys. Well, I want to wrap it off by saying love is love is love is love, and
that means
thank you
to
guys
Yeah.
Thank you.
so much for
Thank
joining
you,
us.
guys.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely enlightening. I feel loved.